Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, Sacred Geography, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, September 18th, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 2023. Currently in a G1 geomagnetic storm, expected to last at least 3 or 6 more hours, potentially could get to G2 or G3. We also have the 11th paroxysm at Shishaldin, with smoke and ash to over 40,000 feet. Keep calm. It's boom time. Big shout out to all those who showed up to Crestone Energy Fair. We had a great weekend. Heavy rain for New England, critical fire weather for sections of the Northwest. A frontal system and a wave of low pressure will bring another round of rain, locally heavy, with isolated instances of flash flooding across the Northeast today. Meanwhile, strong winds and low humidity levels could result in the rapid spread of any fires that initiate across portions of Montana. You can see those red flag warnings up, as well as Oregon. In addition, late summer temperatures forecast for the heartland are expected to be quite comfortable. Here is that severe weather threat in the Northeast, and you can see those storms moving up through Massachusetts into, looks like New Hampshire and into northern Maine. It's insane. Some more pop-up storms tomorrow in Oklahoma possible with the severe weather threat. And then, boom, here we have, by Friday, severe weather threat in the central U.S. And take a look at the snow. The snow is coming into the forecast through the third week of September. So we're going to be seeing snow in British Columbia, Alberta, potentially Oregon, as well as Washington State, heavy snow in Idaho, Montana, and northwest Wyoming. So snow coming to heavy elevations. It is that time. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. Hurricane Nigel just formed. Cat 1 is going nowhere. It's going to hook around and make its way off towards potentially the UK or maybe Iceland. So we'll keep a close eye on that as it's moving up towards Europe. Australia swelters in the spring heat wave. Temperatures set to break records. The only thing they didn't mention is that this hot area is going to be very cold very soon. And that is let's just call it a fall cold boom. Take a look at that. We're just going to move it through. It's going to be very cold in the regions that are very hot right now. Here is the first few days of October. For most of eastern Australia, we're talking 10 to 16 degrees below normal, maybe even more. So the forecast is not for record heat in Australia. It is for record cold for days and days coming soon. Don't believe the hype. Seismic update. We have some major rumblers around the Ring of Fire, 6.3 northeast of Taiwan in the ocean. Good news. And also at a depth of 180 kilometers. This could be, we could be looking for a larger quake here up on the nearer the surface. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Also, some activity in the West Coast, nothing significant. One quake in Nebraska, 3.4, probably frac related. And up here, a 5.1 in northern Italy, 10 kilometers. They felt that. That was a rumbler. Worldwide volcano news update. We've got Fuego, possible eruption of 15,000. Santo Huito, Popo, Reventador, many others. Swanosima to 6,000 feet. Reventador to 14. Mayon. We got a puff there, no distance. Sabancay to 26,000. Popo to 22,000. What else do we have on the list here? Fuego to 15. And the Kilauea eruption, third of the year, has ceased. Well, that was quite short-lived, to say the least. And Shishaldin has been acting up for the 11th time, a paroxysm. 2 days ago, while we were at the fair, I really wanted to get you this information, but a day late and $1 short. There you can see one of the largest paroxysms out of the 11. It looks like an increasing trend here at Shishaldin with a new 11th intense paroxysmal eruptive period. It took place 2 days ago. The activity followed an unusual several hours lasting strong seismic tremor we just showed you, and that flew tephra up to 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers in elevation to the east of the volcano. The National Weather Service reported that the ash column was accompanied by volcanic lightning, suggesting an ash-rich fine emission in the plume, as well as ionization. So-called dirty thunderstorms form when ash that is to be erupted begins as electrostatically neutral rock fragments. Heat and motion of the fragmented material within the volcanic edifice is among the first source of the particle charging. And then it's boom time. And you can see here the activity was reduced immediately during the last eruption, and the same happened after the 11th paroxysm. Currently, the status is 3 out of 5. They may bump that up to 4 any time now, but we are expecting a 12th paroxysm. Well, let's look at the timing here. Yes, maybe in just a few days. Space weather news update. Now, the latest HMI intensity showing a few sunspots peppering the disk, but nothing like we should be expected at solar max. Flaring activity down at low-level C flare. This is a very embarrassing sun, and for good measure. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But the 3-day geomagnetic forecast is showing G2 storm, and we're getting up in there. Sorry about that interruption. We've just taken care of that. Very important. Everyone wants to talk to me now that I'm back in town. But while we were away, we didn't stop publishing on our Twitter, even though we weren't putting up daily updates. And you can follow along all of the updates as we are discovering them, as we do our research. We did put up the Earth-facing filament, in fact, on September 16th, in preparation for the CME that was coming. And in fact, it has struck, and it is increasing now. So we have really good aurora forecast for this evening for North America. It's just beginning. The KP is increasing, and the aurora forecast just has gotten redder since we started the update, which is good news. And this has a lot to do with, let's take it here, the telemetry. We're over here at the Discover Solar Wind. There's the CME passing just about, it's going to be now 6 hours ago, the CME passed. This small density jump allowed the plasma speed to go from 420 all the way up to 600 kilometers per second, where it is now above 600. So this is pretty typical of a G2 geomagnetic storm. Large jump. We've got perturbations in the magnetometer here. So we should be seeing some wonderful aurora tonight. Get out and look up if you're in Canada and send us the pictures in the morning. This could be ongoing for the next 6, maybe even 9 hours. So go out and look up, please. Now on to some of the details about the ongoing grand solar minimum and the deepening into the bottom of the minimum. It appears that NOAA and their prediction is now showing and detailing more and more that we should be keeping an eye on. According to NOAA and NASA, this spike here is the max of solar cycle 25, and it's all downhill from here. There will be no other spike even close to this. And, well, that's exactly what Zarkova and Diamond predicted this before Zarkova, by the way, in case you were wondering. And Zarkova has only corroborated our evidence with new scientific papers coming out since we started the channel. And according to the predicted sunspot numbers, it's looking like, take a look at this, the next peak, well, in the solar cycle could be in 2025, a secondary peak, but it is going to be weak nonetheless, only maxing out at potentially 113 sunspots in 2025. So that's all they're giving it, meaning we've already reached solar max, and then shortly after 2025, let's say by 2030, the sun is going to completely shut down. And by 2032, 0 sunspots are predicted. And by 2035, 0 sunspots are predicted all the way through 2040. So we're looking at a very weak solar cycle 25, perhaps non-existent solar cycle 25. And, well, that means grand solar minimum at the bottom. So we'll be at the bottom starting about 2030 and it's going to be lasting all the way through probably 2050. So don't be scared, be prepared. Scientists discover a giant predator that lived on Earth long before the dinosaurs. Now, this headline is nothing but a lie. And they discovered a giant predator that lived a few tens of millions of years before dinosaurs, but lived with them all the way up to a mass extinction where dinosaurs took over the next year or so. So, pretty misleading headline. And these creatures were pre-dinosaurs, and they were in fact what evolved into a dinosaur after the mass extinction. I do digress. And these weren't very large. They averaged maybe 6 to 9 feet long. But they, in fact, did eat everything on land at that time, and they were the most heinous predator of the pre-Triassic. So all the links will be below to the science we talk about. And stay tuned on Magnetic Reversal News for potentially more updates on the scientific topics. Now, have you heard we lost an F-35 today after a quote-unquote mishap? Yes, the pilot ejected and the plane wasn't in danger, so it continued to fly away on autopilot. Now, just a few moments ago, they claimed they found a debris field, but it has not been confirmed. And there have been 3 tragedies within the last month in the U.S. military, which leads pause. In fact, they ordered a 2-day stand down for all jets. Now, this could mean one of 2 things. A foreign entity has been able to hack into our military systems and is downing these planes, or the woke agenda that has infiltrated our military has reduced the bar so low that the people flying these multi-million and billion-dollar machines are completely incompetent. Want to talk about more incompetence at the Crestone Energy Fair. I've been waiting for it for years, but we, in fact, did get infiltrated by a climate change alarmist lunatic. And we have over 30 minutes of this woman going on a complete tirade of insanity, proving our point.
Are you kidding me? They're producing more solar now that we can...
Why are you so angry about this talk?
But also the national electric infrastructure has a lot of potential failures, and that's just been widely talked about.
Yeah,
this is
we
not
didn't even
something
get
new.
There's going to be more because of climate change. So why are you talking about that?
All right, so
Now, in case you missed it, our talk was about resilience and self-sufficiency, and we're discussing a grid-down scenario here. And she comes in, she is so triggered by the fact that we're saying you may need guns and that the biggest threat is a grid-down scenario, that she came in to infiltrate her narrative because we weren't going to mention climate change, because you know who we are. Climate always changes. And so this woman loses her mind because we're not talking about climate change, which, by the way, the talk had nothing to do about. And I think we handled ourselves well, but there is literally 30 minutes of this woman commandeering my mic and being just a total lunatic. We're going to expose it all in the coming days, so stay tuned for more climate alarmist lunatic footage.
So our main concern is an EMP from a foreign nation during war, which will shut down your solar resilient bullshit, or a large solar flare from the sun, like the Carrington event, which will fry your solar
This is something that has
system.
happened in history.
Guys, this is not balanced, okay? There's nothing balanced.
There's nothing balanced about you,
If you're
trust
going to
me.
believe this, then I'm really sorry for you. And next year, the Energy Fair needs to really talk about the infrastructure that's being developed here. And with that,
Why doesn't she have a talk?
Why don't you give a talk?
That's a very good question.
Why don't you give a talk? We're allowed to have our perspective. You can have yours.
And Asmo's complete,
Okay.
The climate always changes, by the way.
yeah, as most climate change charlatans do, she walked off with no fanfare. So stay tuned for 30 minutes of this psychopath, who, by the way, is supposedly some leader in the San Luis Valley that is on the head of corporate boards, etc. This is a complete lunatic that has no part in actual society. They don't know about public discourse. They don't know about things like freedom of speech. They're unaware of the Constitution, and they are in their own psychotic bubble of fear and delusion because they're brainwashed by the media. Here's a good tip, ancient wisdom for Crestone Karen specifically. Only a fool believes that electricity used for air conditioning harms the planet, but electricity used to charge a Tesla does not. And that's a boom to critical thinking and knowledge. Please share this video far and wide as we have more climate lunacy to reveal in the coming days. Become a Patreon, support the work we do. We love you. Be safe. Remember, don't be scared like the Karen. Be prepared. And that is a boom.